Hey everyone, Happy New Year. This is Ron, New Year's Day 2015, and definitely been wanting to come in and do another video, and I thought today would be a great day to do that, being the first day of the year. So I got some great things lined up. Had a little surprise when I woke up this morning. I turned on the news and it snowed, and it didn't snow in Phoenix, but it snowed about 20-25 miles east of Phoenix in Mesa. And it was just enough to like blanket everything, where everything was white. And I believe even North Scottsdale got some snow too. So I woke up, it was a nice frosty 37 degrees. So very nice New Year's Day here. Very unusual to have snow. Doesn't happen hardly ever. Okay, I got some things lined up, and first few things I want to show are some recent finds. I was just out at the store today. In fact, I went out towards Mesa and I saw some snow on the Superstition Mountains, which was really beautiful. So yeah, I got a few things lined up here, so I'll show you what I recently picked up. Some of it I got with some Christmas money, so I got some reissues, and the first one is Now and Them, and it's the first album by them, 1967, without Van Morrison. And I'd never heard this before. In fact, I'd never heard any of it, so when I heard it I was very pleased. Very much like Standell's sort of garagey psych, and real strong album. Just excellent. Really recommend you get this one, Now and Them. And that was originally on Tower label in '67. And then I got their follow-up, which is also on Tower, and it's Time Out for Them. And this one is less garagey. It's more in the pop psych vein. Still pretty good, not as good as the first one. And both of these are UK imports that were released last year. And when I went out to Mesa today, I went to a new used record store, and I picked this up, sealed, brand new. July! And if you remember on my last video, I said I was looking for this bad boy, and I got it. And this is the Record Store Day exclusive on swirl vinyl. Sort of a lime green orange swirl, pretty cool. Sunburst pattern. So Bo, let me know if yours is same colored vinyl. It is in mono. All the reissues that I've ever heard of have been mono. I don't know of any stereo reissues. But yeah, this was originally released in the US on Epic, and I haven't listened to it yet, but I've heard it's just really outstanding album, so I'm really anxious to hear this. And this is The Who Live at Leeds, original US pressing. And check out the sticker that's up in the corner. Right there. Rare. Very rare. I didn't even know that existed until about a couple of months ago. I was looking on eBay, and it was a guy selling a bunch of sealed albums that he'd bought out of a collection, and one of them was Live at Leeds, and it had that sticker on it. And so here I go walking into a record store a couple of days ago, and there it is, just sitting waiting for me in the bin. This is like, I couldn't believe it. Yeah, I had to pay $25 for the album, but it's got all the inserts and everything. You know, I mean, I had to have that sticker. I love The Who, they're my favorite band. And so I was really pumped up when I found that. And it's got some numbers on the bottom that said it's the last 4 digits of the catalog number. So it's definitely I'm not sure if it originally was plastered on the cover or if it was on the shrink and somebody peeled it off and stuck it on the cover. But I'm guessing it was probably on the shrink. But I don't really see any wrinkles, so it's really hard to say. But rare sticker, man. And this is another one I just got today. It's the Plastic Ono Band, live in Toronto, 1969. This is still original sealed copy, and I got it for 13 bucks. It's got remnants of the original sticker on the back, and if you look at the back, you can tell it's the original shrink because it's got the round ventilation hole, which is a clear indicator that it's original shrink. It does not appear to have the calendar inside. So it's probably early 70s issue, but I mean, original sealed copy for 13 bucks, guy, can't go wrong there. And I picked this up today too. It's the first album by The Illusion, and I always sort of ignored these albums because I thought they were pop. And somebody in the vinyl community recently was talking about, they showed this album, I think it was Zeke the Geek. And so I went out to the record store today and I saw it, and I remember seeing the other, they had 3 albums, I remember seeing the other 2 quite a bit, but I don't remember ever seeing this one around very much. So for 13 bucks I went ahead and took a chance on it, and I listened to side 1. And this is really cool hard rock psych. I liked it. I liked every bit of it. So I'm anxious to hear side 2. I can't say what the other 2 albums would be like, but I always thought it was just lame pop, but guess I was wrong. And I got this today too. It's Love Live Studio. And the studio is previously released Blue Thumb tracks, and the live is live at Bill Graham's Fillmore East. It doesn't say what year, unfortunately. It's probably vintage recordings, obviously, but it's probably later Love. And this was originally released in '82, and it was not in print very long. It disappeared quite quickly. In fact, I did have a copy of this about 1983, and I eventually sold it. And I kind of, I always regretted it because I could never find that album again, And so it's a pretty tough album to find. So I was lucky to get it again and picked it up for 10 bucks. Then I got this today too, and it's an original German Electric Prunes Underground stereo pressing with a nice high gloss cover, and it's on the Tricolor Steamboat label. Real clean, 20 bucks. Okay, that's the end of what I got, the recent finds, and I'm going to start showing some stuff that I've had in my collection. And this first one is Fresh Cream, 66 Atco, first album. The reason I'm showing this is I believe I have a record club edition, so I'll show you that. And it's got a different variation of the label. It's on the Tricolor Atco, but if you notice, the word Atco is in black instead of your standard brown. And that's what leads me to believe that it's probably a record club. There's no other indicators on there that I could notice that would signify it is a record club, but on the back of the album cover there is a handwritten date of May '67, and that's probably when they got the album. So that would be shortly before they went to the yellow label. But just as an educated guess, I would say Record Club. This is an interesting bootleg. It's the Kinks Contraband, and I believe it's from the early 80s bootleg, and it's got some BBC 60s tracks and some 60s demos and some live stuff, I believe. And it's a really cool cover. It's got all this drug paraphernalia, weed, hash, coke, hypodermic needle, money. Pretty cool. And this is the label. It's on Reprieve, and instead of a steamboat, it's got a guy sitting in an electric chair and he's getting ready to be fried. I think that's pretty cool. Pretty hard album to find, I think. It's the only one I've ever seen. It's the kind of album, if you're lucky enough to get it, you don't get rid of it. But Kinks Contraband. This is a UK psych monster here. It's the Deviants. It's an original US pressing with a promo sticker, and it's got the rare stickers that were originally on the shrink wrap on there. And this is just a great punky psych album. It's on the Sire London label, 1968. I recently saw a reissue of this, and it was on swirl vinyl. Definitely one to get. Here's another heavy-duty UK prog psych monster. It's High Tide. And this is their first album, 1969. And when I got this, it was still sealed, and I had to crack it. I needed to hear it. I hate cracking 60s stuff, but you know how it goes. But this is their first album. They had two. Their second album was released in the UK only, I think. Definitely not in the States. And it has Tony Hill on guitar and vocal, and Tony Hill was originally in The Misunderstood. He didn't sing in The Misunderstood, but he does sing for High Tide. And also it has Simon House on violin, who later went into Hawkwind, and he also played with Bowie. Just a really cool album. It's got a gatefold. I can't open it up because it's in the shrink, but I've seen the inside. It's real colorful picture artwork of a ship on the rolling tide, and it's very colorful and just a really nice picture. Here's another really cool prog psych album out of the UK. It's May Blitz. I'm not a fan of the cover, but inside's alright. And they were a power trio, real gloomy prog psych, really cool. And they had another album. I don't believe it was released in the States, but definitely in the UK. I've never heard that one. So that's another good one to check out. Here's another early prog psych album. It's by Lee Michaels, Carnival of Life. And this is fairly common. This is his most valuable album, but it's relatively common. I think it was a pretty good seller. And it's from 1968, and it's just excellent from start to finish. Heavy organ, fuzz, a lot different from his other albums. And even if you're not a Lee Michaels fan, chances are you're going to like this one if you like prog psych. And on guitar it's got Hamilton W. Watt, who was later in Euphoria, and they had an album on Capitol called A Gift from Euphoria. It's quite rare, and so that's interesting that he's on this album. This is a Swedish psych band, and it's the Mickey Markman, if I pronounced that right, and it's on the Limelight label, which is a subsidiary of Mercury. And this is a pretty good album here. I never heard it until like maybe less than 10 years ago when I picked it up, and it's parts of it are kind of like gloomy, scary psych. In fact, on the back it says, "The power in music can be frightening. Power in music can also be beautiful. And when the Mickey Markman combine the two, it is exquisite." So this is a cool album to check out. They did have another album. I haven't heard that one, but this one's pretty cool. This is the Fallen Angels, and this is a pretty good pop psych album out of, they were out of Washington, D.C., and it's on the Roulette label, 1967. And they had a hit on here, "Room at the Top," and some of this is kind of lame, but there's some good songs in here. "You Have Changed" is a pretty heavy psych tune, and they definitely improved with their second album. And I don't have an original one, but I do have a reissue of it. It's A Long Way Down by the Fallen Angels, and this is just like a heavy-duty psych piece here, boy. $400 or $500 album, and nice reproduction of the cover, the gatefold. Real dreamy psych, probably kind of like in the Pretty Things psych flavor, and just a really good one to search out. I've never even seen a beat one of that, not even whipped. So this is the Travel Agency, and it's a good jangly pop, pop psych, real good record on Viva, which was Leon Russell's label, and recommend picking this one up if you can get it. Good album to listen to. This is a rare bad boy here. It's Del Shannon, The Further Adventures of Charles Westover. And Charles Westover was actually his name. And this album bombed. It virtually went, unnoticed in 1968. And it's a real shame because it's this really excellent UK style pop psych. He wrote a lot of the songs on here, and it's on the Liberty label. And I was lucky enough to get an original copy at Rockaway Records for like $12, and yeah, hard one to get. In fact, I noticed recently that it's just been reissued, so that might be something for you guys to check out. Even if you're not a Del Shannon fan, it's worth checking out. This is Sky Saxon, and this is a original US copy of an album that he put out in 1977. It's on blue vinyl, and it's live at the Orpheum Theater in Hollywood, and it's got a couple of inserts. It's got a reproduction of a newspaper article, and then it's got a flyer on the inside promoting the show. And I don't know if that's an original flyer that was left over or if it's a reproduction of the flyer, but it would be really cool if that's an authentic original flyer. That would be really cool. And it's a pretty good album. Most of it is like Sky Saxon solo stuff, but then it's got a few Seeds tracks. It's got Can't Seem to Make You Mine, Nobody Spoil My Fun. And he does Pushing Too Hard, but he explains before he does the song that he has to change the lyrics to Pushing Too Fast due to legalities, which is BS, but I guess you got to do what you got to do. But anyway, instead of singing Pushing Too Hard, he sings Pushing Too Fast. This is the Kaplan Brothers Nightbird. It's a local album out of Illinois, and they only had 3 albums. This is their 3rd album from 1978, and it's their most liked by psyched heads. It's in the Acid Archives, and it's described as lounge rock. It's got crooner styled vocals. It's got all kinds of things thrown into this album. I mean, there's tinkly piano, there's prog keyboard, there's crooner style vocals, there's some spaghetti western theme music in here. Parts of it are campy, but it's still real likable, man. It's like, I really had hesitance about buying it because I was going to have to pay up towards $90 for it. And I decided to go for it because it got such a cool write-up in the Acid Archive. And I like it. I don't regret one little bit paying that much money for it. I don't know if I'd buy the other ones, but I definitely like this one. And it's interesting, they do a cover of Epitaph by King Crimson, and then it segues into an upbeat version of Listen to the Falling Rain by the Cascades. So it's a pretty cool album. I like it. And I'll show you the label. It's got a cool indie looking label. Now you can check out parts of it on YouTube. I don't know if they have the whole album on there, but I know some of it is. And this is Banshee, and it's 1969 Atlantic. This is their first album, and it's a white label promotional copy. And they only had 2 albums. Their second album, I believe, is called Thinkin'. It's more straight hard rock. This album is got more psych element to it, which I like. Just a real good, solid, likable album, Banshee. Well, here's another one, heavy guitar, early hard rock album. It's Lightning, and this had Zippy Kaplan in it, who was the guitarist for The Litter. And I believe this came out in 70, 71. There's a dedication on the back of the cover. It says, written in tribute to Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, and Brian Jones. So it was before Jim Morrison passed. And they do Riders in the Sky on here. It's also known as Ghost Riders in the Sky. Heavy hard rock version of that just kills. Probably Outlaw's version of that is more known, but this one predates it by several years. So it's on the Pip label, and cool one to check out, Lightning. Okay, I got a few more here, and I'm gonna whip through these. I promised Bo that I would show a few of these Renaissance albums that I have, because he's like this big Keith Relf fan, and I told him that I had them and that I would show them. So I've got the German ones and the UK ones, and have alternate. In the US, the first album was only released here, and it had a different cover than this one. This is the first German, and it has a gatefold. And it's got Keith Relf, Jim McCarty from the Yardbirds, and it's got Keith Relf's sister Jane Relf in the band. It's on a Sunray label, Island label. Now I don't know if that's the original first German label or not. I know in the UK it came out on a pink label, so this could be a second pressing. And then I believe in Germany their second album was the only album in the world to be released in Germany. And it's on the same label, and it's got a gatefold. And then in the UK they have the same exact cover as the German. Now I always thought I had an original, but I guess I don't. The pink label is the original, so I got a second pressing. And this is the UK. And then the second album wasn't released in the UK until after Keith Relf died in 1976. And this is that copy here. And it doesn't have the gatefold like the German one. And they reversed the artwork where this is the front, and then they reversed the artwork on these on the backs too. So a little difference there. And there's a track on this album, it's called Mr. Pine. And it's actually by, I always thought, it had different players on here, so I didn't know what it was. I thought maybe it was just some musicians that they put on the album to fill the album up or something, because I guess the band had pretty much broken up during the making of this album. But I found out it was like a transition renaissance. It was like a completely different band, but they were going to take over as being Renaissance. The name, the music, everything. And it's kind of a complicated story, a very unusual one. But they were only Renaissance for like a month or two. And then the other Renaissance that became more known in the 70s replaced them. So there's actually like 3 incarnations of Renaissance. And I found all this out from, I found Jim McCarty's channel on YouTube. And I found all this information out through that. And he has a lot of cool Renaissance and Yardbirds videos. And the name of his channel is Jim McCarty and Co. And I just recently discovered that and thought it was very cool that he was on there. So yeah, I just wanted to show those, you know, because I know Bo wanted to see them, but he may have been familiar with all those, I don't know. But oh, that's about it, I guess. A little long-winded this one. I think I need something to wet my whistle. But yeah, I'm glad I was able to make another video. I probably stumbled and tripped and fell a few times during the making this, but I try and make my videos with no edits or anything like that, so I just think it's more real. So till next time, guys, take care. Happy New Year.